What the fuck is up? Oh, I probably shouldn't open this by swearing. What is up? I'm back. I'm playing Animal Crossing again. Let's fucking do this. I am not gonna do like an intro thing or whatever. Like, I'm already playing. I will say though, I wore this outfit specifically because I am deep in a Good Omens obsession, okay? Just get prepared to hear about it. I have a lot to say. Look at how bad this is. Look at how bad this is. This is awful. So, I have no storage space currently because I was demolishing. You know this. Last we left off, I was demolishing. I'm still demolishing shit. Like, look, like this hill is gone. Actually, I will talk for a second because when I walk around, it is going to be a stark difference from the last time you saw this island. So essentially what happened was I was going to do like this whole resort, like summertime island vibe, like you know what I'm talking about. And I was pretty excited about it until I realized that I didn't want to do that. Remember how I said there were 2 videos and I was going to release a part 2? In the part 2, I even said, I never finish islands. I have finished so little islands in my time. They're all up on my Instagram, if you want to check. Morocco was the last one I finished, and that's my current dream address. But then I started doing the summer one, and I got bored. Mind if I do? Oh my god, it's actually a new DIY. What the fuck? It's been so long since I got a new DIY. Spooky trick lamp. I'm trying to decide if I even like this path. Yeah, I just gave up. It's hard. I don't know how people... I guess if you really like summer themes and like tropical themes and shit in general, then of course you can finish a summer island. But I don't like summer very much. Now that it's fall, I'm thriving. I'm looking for something to put outside that building I just made that I think I'm gonna tear down because I don't really like it. It's just up there for now, because I'm trying to decide if I even want to keep this path. It's not that I don't like it. The other pathing that I have is light colored. And this being dark is kind of killing the vibe, you know? I'll show you. Let me place this little tree and see how we feel. I'll come back to it. I had different ones saved on Pinterest that I might try. It's a little too dark, and I'll show you why. It'll look nice when the trees turn red, but that only lasts a few days. This is the road that I have everywhere else. I do not want to change this. I love this road so much. This was from my summer island. All this has to be changed. This is still here. I did not tear this down since last we spoke. I like this, and because I like this so much, I just don't feel like this matches, and I feel like nothing I can do, like I'm trying to place light colored furniture to like balance it out. I just don't feel like that's working. Oh, let's talk about the scrapped video real quick. Oh, I was about to run over to show you the area that I scrapped, but actually I got rid of all those custom designs. So it's yeah, the scrapped area is looking, she's looked better. If I have pictures, I'll post pictures or walkthrough or whatever, and I'll insert it right here. It was tennis and mini golf. I loved the areas. The video was terrible. And like, with peace and love, I wanted to save you from having to watch that. So the reason it was so bad is because I thought it was gonna be one long video. I tried to split it into 2, so it ended up just like seeming really disconnected and just bad. It was bad and terrible. I have no storage. I will admit, I have been watching or listening to, because it's a podcast, a lot of the Broski Report, Brittany Broski's podcast, and I'm talking. And she just inspires me so much to talk about whatever I want at any given point. She just kind of talks about whatever she wants and to hell with everyone else, which I think is great. Because I want to listen to her talk about Call of Duty cosplayers for several hours. Apologies in advance for the fact that I will be taking after Mother, Brittany Broski, and just talking about whatever I want. Because I want to talk about Good Omens and also my recent hyperfixation. While I do that, I'm going to be playing Animal Crossing, and I hope that's cool with you. This is also the first time I have recorded a video at a decent time of day. I hope everyone is unbelievably proud of me. I was supposed to have a dance class. I'm a theater major, for anybody who doesn't know, which basically means that I am insufferable to be around. I'm actually a technical theater major. That basically means that I am not an actor. Lighting and directing and stage management and sound and wardrobe, that is all technical theater. that is my area of interest. But as a first year theater major, I have to take the acting classes as well. Which, by the way, is the bane of my existence. There's nothing more stressful than having to go to an improv acting class. Are you kidding? Improv acting? What is this torture? Why would you make me do that? But we were supposed to do a dance class today, which I was actually really excited for because dance is hype and fun. Now, if it had to be an improv dance class, it would have been a different story. But it didn't actually go ahead. It made me pretty sad. Because I actually wanted to do that pretty badly. Is that ugly? That does not suit this area at all. What the hell do I put there instead? So, I wanted to talk about Good Omens and I want to talk about my hyperfixation. Because, this is my show. Okay? So, that's awful. I am big into Good Omens right now. The second season came out, God, months ago now. It still feels like it is brand new. It's been out for months. I was into Good Omens season 1, but I didn't get into it when it first came out, just because, like, I hadn't heard of it. Every insane interest that I have, and I don't mean that the interest itself is weird, I mean every interest that I've ever been insane about, has come from this person who is just so good, somehow, at giving me the perfect piece of media to make me insane. I had the same thing with Moon Knight, Stranger Things. I was not a Stranger Things fan until this person made me a Stranger Things fan. Anyway, months after the original Good Omens came out, this person was like, you would love Good Omens. You have to watch Good Omens with me. I went over to their house and they put the show on and as they often did, just like forced me to watch it. Now I'm completely and utterly obsessed with it. They are the one to blame for everything. And this is why I'm not disclosing names, is because, you know, there's probably like warrants out for this person's arrest. Is that cute? Okay, when that other bush grows in, it might be cute. I don't know what to do with this. You know? I don't know how to feel about this path. I really want to use flowers because I have so many, but like, I don't know what to do with them because they're kind of ugly. Kind of ugly. What? Yeah, so I got really into it when a couple months after the show came out, when it was like shown to me, and I had a really intense hyperfixation on it for however long after that. But then, as I often do, it was overshadowed by other things and I forgot about it for a while. So I still loved it. I just wasn't, like, it wasn't an active hyperfixation anymore. And if you have ADHD and you get hyperfixations the way I get hyperfixations, you know what I mean when I say it wasn't an active hyperfixation. Like, it just wasn't, like, consuming my every thought anymore. Which is good, but it's also boring. It's boring because I want to be thinking about Good Omens every moment of every day because it's fun, okay? It's a good show and it's fun. But when season 2 came out, that was different. That was different for several reasons. All of which I will describe to you right now because you can't escape me. The biggest difference, I guess, was that I was watching it when the fandom was also watching it. Okay, that's not a good way to put it. I was watching the new season alongside everyone else. So I got to be excited about the show at the same time that, like, the fandom as a whole is excited about the show. Which is something that doesn't really happen to me because I just tend to get into things late. I don't do the hipster thing. As much as I have been a hipster for, like, musicians in the past, absolutely, and I will admit that with my full chest, that I've been like, I listened to them before they were popular, or whatever. That is not the same with TV shows. I watch TV shows when everyone else is already over the show. It's been good for everyone else around me because it means that I have not had that much material to go off of to be insane about. But it was different with Good Omens because I accidentally watched it right at, like, the height of the popularity for season 2. I didn't realize a new season was even coming out. And then I was on TikTok one day and someone on TikTok was like, season 2 of Good Omens is out, and I just watched it. Like, normally, especially with new seasons of shows I really like, I wait to watch them because I'm always worried that they're gonna be bad. Like, they're gonna be worse than the rest of the show. And oftentimes that's true. Like, I don't I don't want to like point at too many shows, especially shows that I still really like despite how much shit I will talk on them. It just falls off. Like, it just happens way too often that I'm watching a show and I think it's really good and I think it's really fun, and then all of a sudden the show just completely falls off and it just isn't fun anymore. Some shows, you know what? I will get into this. Some shows, it's not that the show got worse in any way. It's that the writers just got little details wrong that fuck the whole show. And the best example I can use for this, and I need everyone to know that I'm saying this from the perspective of someone who is still a huge fan of this show, still says that, especially season 1, is like some of the best TV I've ever watched, Young Royals. I love Young Royals so much. Oh my god. I could talk about that show forever. The problem that I had with Young Royals was that, and I'm gonna try to say this without spoiling it because I do think people should watch it, an emotional arc that happens with the main character in season 2 comes from a place that I thought was disingenuous to the actual struggles that he has in the show. I guess the best way to put it that isn't like super spoilery is to say, instead of focusing on more important problems that he has that should have been addressed more heavily in season 2, the show just decides to boil down all of his problems to like boy problems, relationship problems. After season 1 being so emotionally impactful, I really expected that arc to continue and to deepen in season 2, and it does, but it deepens from the wrong place. His entire emotional journey is just blamed on relationship problems. It's a show about romance, so I don't think it's spoilery to say relationship issues or whatever. It is frustrating to me because I feel like that's very invalidating to what was actually happening in the show and what was actually happening to him as a character. I just bit my tongue so hard, holy shit. Dude, it has been so long since I bit my tongue like that. That is that is crazy. I just bit my tongue so hard that I had to like stop talking and just like sit in it for a second. I don't remember what I just customized. Oh, the plant partitions. Anyway, bringing all of that shit back to Good Omens. Believe me, this was about Good Omens at one point. I thought that that was a real risk for season 2 of Good Omens, to like just kind of be about the wrong stuff, if that makes sense. And also, just in general, to be bad. This is not me saying like, oh yeah, Neil Gaiman totally could have fumbled the bag or whatever, because Neil Gaiman, my lord, I didn't customize both of them. What? I only customized one? Am I stupid? I'm not paying attention. I feel like that was a show that had a lot of potential to have a terrible season 2. The show is just fantastic. I do think that if it was a different cast, a different writer, a different director, a team that cared less about what they were producing, it would be very, very possible for season 2 to just like be bad. Like, it would be easy for season 2 to be bad. Because of how good season 1 was, continuing that momentum is so hard. And you see it with so many TV shows all the time. A big victim, I guess, of that whole situation, I would say, is Stranger Things. And as a huge Stranger Things fan, I will say I love Stranger Things, but with new seasons of Stranger Things, it's almost like I think of Stranger Things as a guilty pleasure, and less like a show that I can genuinely praise. And it's just because the motivations for characters and the genuine character progression gets lost from season to season. The characters that are the most guilty of this, I would say, are Nancy and Steve. And honestly, Will. Because, like, in the show in general, I often felt like he was less of a character and more of just, like, a victim. And in season 1 and season 2, his character was done so well, and in season 4 he just kind of felt like a prop. Like, it just really didn't feel like he was doing anything. With shows that start off so well, like season 1 of Stranger Things is one of my favorite seasons of any TV show. It's so hard to keep up that same momentum. I was a little worried that the new season of Good Omens would fall victim to the same thing. To my delight, that was not true. I refuse to spoil season 2 for anybody, because I think everybody should watch that show, because it's fucking fantastic. But season 2 is incredible, and it is so different from season 1, and is still perfect. I think I'm gonna actually make this just a normal, like, pew color. This time around with Good Omens has been so different from the first experience that I had with liking it. By which I mean, after watching season 2, I rewatched season 2, because of course I did, but I bought the book. I bought the book on Kindle, and I read the book, and then I got a physical, and I read and annotated the book, or reread and annotated the book. I have listened to multiple versions of the audiobook. I've listened to interviews and behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. It's been so fun and so cool to just, like, see all of that stuff. But it means that I am, like, deep in this hyperfixation. I am so into this show. I got a Good Omens tattoo, which is my favorite tattoos I have ever gotten. It is so beautiful. I love it so much. If you right now are thinking to yourself, you sound crazy. You sound crazy talking about this. Girl, stay in your lane, okay? Everybody has their thing that they're obsessed with, and even if you think in your mind that you don't have a thing you're obsessed with, you do. Like, you do. Think about it for like 2 seconds. It could be sports, it could be video games, it could be history, like it could be anything. And that brings me to my next point. What a beautiful segue, am I right? My current interest is maybe the weirdest hyperfixation I have ever had. My current hyperfixation, for your consideration, is kerosene lamps, specifically in Frontier America. I have made almost no progress on this island since I started talking. Have you noticed? Please say you haven't. I hate this. I think this is really ugly. Kerosene lamps, let's talk about them. I really and honestly cannot really describe how or why this interest came about. Someone help me out. Should I leave Nook's Crannies here and like decorate the front of it? That could be fun. That's kind of cute, right? I could leave it here. All right, kerosene lamps, let's talk about it. So the reason I brought up Good Omens before I started on my hyperfixation is that they are connected, believe it or not. So for those of you who don't know, kerosene lamp, it's just like a type of oil lamp. That's it. It's just a very specific type of oil lamp, and that's my current hyperfixation, which how that came about is a story in itself that I will tell. So I am a writer. This whole thing with Good Omens has been the first time that I was like, I actually want to sit down and write fan fiction about something. And before you get your depraved minds all full of depravity, it's not what you think. Alright, I'm not writing anything dirty. Grow up, okay? No disrespect to people who do, because you do you. I'm not gonna yuck anybody's yum. But that was not what I was doing, and I'm not really into that. I say was doing. Am doing. I have no shame. I've been listening to Brittany Broski, okay? You think I have any shame after hearing that woman talk about Call of Duty cosplayers? No. None. Not an ounce. I was writing fanfiction. I was sharing this fanfiction with a friend. And said friend really wanted some Wild West fanfiction. And honestly, me too. I won't pretend that they were the only person involved in this. They mentioned doing a Wild West thing, and I was like, you're the smartest person I've ever met. Of course I'm going to do that. So I did. But I, for some reason, have discovered I am incredibly picky about realism in my fanfictions. I'm not picky about it in other people's. I do get upset when they don't keep things true to canon. I don't like canon divergent work very much. I prefer things that are like post-canon or pre-canon so that it can exist outside of the canon. I don't know why I'm explaining this. I'm also explaining it like anybody will understand. But that's how it is. Like, I just prefer things that meet the show or the book, because I also do like the fanfiction that focuses more on the book than on the show. I was really picky about getting certain things right, so I did a lot of research about like clothes in the Wild West. I did a lot of research because I wanted all the Wild West clothing and just the Wild West stuff in general to be accurate. That mattered to me. And one of the things that really threw me for a loop was lighting. It was one of the first things that I was thinking about, is that I was writing kind of like the intro scene, which is one of the Good Omens characters, if you've never seen it. One of the main characters, his name is Crowley. He's my favorite character. I love him with all my heart. And it's just an opening scene of him riding a horse through the center of a Wild West town. And I realized there are like street lamps. A lot of it is based off of Red Dead Redemption, because that's like the only Wild West piece of media that I really know about. But I realized that I didn't know what those street lamps were. Like, I had no idea how they worked, and I, for some reason, had to know how they worked. Like, it was so important that I knew how they worked. And this led me down a rabbit hole of research into kerosene lamps. Like, hours of research. I was almost late to one of my classes, to a lecture, because I was reading about kerosene lamps recreationally. Totally separate to that one thing I was trying to write. Should I admit to any of this? Genuinely, should I be admitting to this? This is awful. I don't remember what I've said. It's too late. I got really into reading about kerosene lamps. I only realized today I was only interested in kerosene lamps in Frontier America, like their use in Frontier America, which is even crazier because that's even more specific than just saying my hyperfixation is kerosene lamps. My hyperfixation is kerosene lamps in Frontier America, because I wanted to like talk about it in this video, like just talk about some shit that I know about kerosene lamps, because who else am I going to talk about kerosene lamps with other than myself, just talking to myself into Animal Crossing. And then I realized, other than the way that they were used in Frontier America, I don't really know as much about them as I thought. Because when I started looking it up, I was like, oh, let me look this up so I don't, get some stuff wrong. I discovered that all the stuff I knew about them was from Frontier America, from the Wild West. I was only talking about them in the context of the Wild West. You know how I found that out? Because when I looked it up, obviously it was talking about more than just their use during that time period. And it was talking about, like, post Wild West, whatever era, the way that they were used, still in America, but also about the way that they were used in Asia and in Africa. Like, that was from reading the Wikipedia, so obviously I don't know how accurate the Wikipedia entries on me prefacing, like, anybody listening to this is a kerosene lamp expert and is going to get mad at me having dishonest information. Take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, okay? I've never said anything that was correct in my entire life, alright? It was like, I was about to say wake up call. Yo, I need to touch grass. Next video, me standing on grass for an hour. I just realized that, like, the extent of my knowledge was kerosene lamps, specifically in Frontier America. Which I don't even know if calling it Frontier America is the most accurate way to describe what I'm thinking of. And if it isn't, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo, cry me a river. I'm not... Listen, I'll get real picky on my kerosene lamp information, and I will really try not to talk about kerosene lamps outside of America, because I don't know anything about that. But I don't give a shit about saying false information about what I'm calling America at that time. And if you care, cry me a river, alright? I don't care. I had one situation in class the other day where one of my classmates discovered my shame. I was exposed. And what happened is pretty funny. I was in a very important lecture. And I say very important because it was like a 3-hour lecture, and the final hour is a test on everything that we had done in that class and in the class before. My first year of technical theater classes is basically a bunch of different units taught by different professors to give us like a rounded, very basic understanding of technical theater. It would have been beneficial for me to know what was going on in that class. During that lecture, I didn't pay attention for a minute. I was still thinking about those fucking stupid lamps. And because I was still thinking about those fucking stupid lamps, I just started writing. Like, I didn't know what to do with... If you have ADHD and you get really strong hyperfixations like I do, you might understand what I'm talking about. But there are times when I have a hyperfixation and I literally don't know what to do with all of the pent-up energy and information and genuinely, like, love. Love and passion that I have for these things that I'm interested in. And, this was one of those moments when I realized that it's not just kerosene lamps, it's specifically kerosene lamps and the way that they were used in the Wild West. That made me feel insane. So I just started writing down every tiny piece of information I knew off the top of my head about kerosene lamps. And I didn't write a lot, okay? It's one piece of paper, front and back, from top to bottom. That's not that much to write, but I did spend almost all of that class just doing that instead of writing notes. I took notes for like the first 30-45 minutes of that class, wrote about kerosene lamps for the rest of the class. Then I got exposed. And what happened there was I was sitting next to a dear friend, and I didn't notice at the time. In the back of my mind, I was like, I kind of feel like they're looking over at what I'm doing, but it just looks like I'm writing notes, so, like, whatever. And also, they're probably not looking at me. I kind of just feel like they're looking at me. The end of class, I'm like, I didn't pay attention at all during that class. And they go, yeah, I was wondering what you were writing, because you were writing so much during that class. And I don't know what compelled me to be so vulnerable in this moment, but I looked at them and I was just like, do you want to fucking know what I was doing during that class? And I showed them this piece of paper front and back that is all about kerosene lamps. And I gave them the whole explanation of, like, why I was so into kerosene lamps. And they did the kindest thing they could have done, which was they had a little chuckle about it. And then they were like, hey, that's pretty cool, you know, we're doing lighting, and that can come in handy when we're doing lighting. And I was like, can that come in handy? I don't think that's gonna come in handy for anything. Like, I think that I just wasted a class writing and thinking about kerosene lamps. And now, to make the entire situation worse for me and everyone else around me, it has spread like wildfire through my class. And now everybody knows about my thing with kerosene lamps. And at any given moment, we'll reference it. We'll just, out of nowhere, someone will mention lighting, will mention cowboys, the Wild West, the 1800s, anything that even remotely has to do with this interest. And will just look at me and say, huh, kerosene lamps. Like, it's my trigger word. Like, it's gonna trigger something in me. And it does. Like, to be fair, it does. It triggers the need to talk about kerosene lamps. But usually, I just suppress that need, and am instead hit by the crippling embarrassment and humiliation of the fact that it's not that humiliating. Honestly, I like having weird hyperfixations, because I like knowing a lot about obscure subjects, because I think it's funny. I think it's funny that at any given point, a random topic could be brought up and I could just look like a genius. As long as it's something that I at one point had an insane hyperfixation on. If it isn't, I'm useless. Talk to somebody else, I don't know. But as long as it's something I've had a hyperfixation on, I'm good. I will look so smart. I would be so good at a very specific type of trivia. My kerosene lamp thing, it's calming down, it's chilling out, which, you know, thank goodness, I could do with less thoughts about kerosene lamps. If you ask to move away, I'm going to fucking lose my shit. I swear to God. Chrissy, I love you. As much as my dear friends have been so supportive in trying to make me feel like this is like the most normal thing. Not just normal, they want me to believe it's cool, which I think is crazy. They don't just want me to think that it's normal, they genuinely keep telling me that it's cool. Keep being like, no, it's cool, it's cool, it's not embarrassing. I'm like, I don't know. I'll tell you how I know it is embarrassing. I had a professor say something about it. The first day I started talking about it, I sit down in a theater history class, and I'm sitting next to my aforementioned friend, who exposed me for my interest in kerosene lamps. And, this was when I was telling them about it. And at the same time that I'm talking about it, the professor walks in. And he walks in and he's listening to our conversation, and as he's like putting his stuff away, just like a very friendly guy, you know, very nice professor. And he goes, oh, did you guys just get out of a lighting class? Because I'm talking about lamps. And we go, nope, we just got out of a sound lecture. And he's like, oh, sound? And I'm like, yeah, we just got out of sound. And I don't know what compelled me to be just so radically honest. But I go, yeah, no, we just did sound. The kerosene lamp thing is a personal interest of mine. And he goes, oh, no, wait, no, oh, it's worse. I didn't say personal interest. I called it a hobby. I said kerosene lamps are just a hobby of mine. He laughed at me. I got laughed at by my professor for my interest in lamps. And honestly, I respect him so much. He was so right for that. But like, that was when I knew that everyone who was telling me this was like so normal and so interesting is just lying and being a liar. Which I love and respect. Be a liar if you want to. Who cares? What am I talking about at this point? What does it matter? God, everything I have said in the past, oh god, however long, I started that stopwatch. I didn't look at it once. Just for full transparency. Everything I have said, I have been thinking in the back of my mind, like, is this just embarrassing? Like, is this a thing that I should be admitting to? But that's the beauty of posting a YouTube video that, like, three of your like, friends are gonna see and nobody else. Like, I'm so safe. I'm so safe here. Because it's like 3 of my friends and my brother are going to watch this, which, by the way, hi. Hey, everybody. Hi, Mackenzie. Oh, my brother's girlfriend's gonna see this too. Hi, Allie. That's the only people who are gonna see this video. I'm so safe here. I can say whatever I want. I blacked out about 20 minutes ago. Oh my god, it's been an hour. Yeah, that's a wrap. What did we build today? Let's have a look. Actually, you know what? I didn't pay attention for a minute while building this. This looks great. I'm so deeply sorry for everything that I have said.